For the record book, Pastor John's credit card number is... Well, lather, rinse, and repeat. Some of us have to do that more often than others. But it is a good theme, and to love God, to love others, and to repeat. That's what we are called to do. This young scribe asked Jesus, which is the greatest commandment? As you sit and you look at all 10 of them, remembering that before God gave Moses the 10 commandments, the Israelites followed 630 some commandments, from how to prepare your food, from where you could go to the bathroom, to how you treated each other, and that list went on. And God said, well, come on, I'm God, I can't follow 630 commandments. Let's get it down to 10. And those 10 focus simply on this. When you look at them and you break them down, you're loving God and you're loving people. And that's what the 10 commandments are. So Jesus brings it down to just basically 2 commandments. Pastor John has just said before to the kids, love God, love people, repeat. Okay? We've got it down to 5 words. Big enough to fit on a bumper sticker. But it is hard to do. It is one of the more difficult things to do, is to love God fully and at the same time acknowledge those that are around you in this broken and sinful world and say, I love you as much as I love God. In fact, people will say, you know how much you love God by the way you treat your worst enemy. The way you treat your worst enemy is the way that you love God. A little story, it doesn't have to do with enemies, but to illustrate our point. There was a man, and we're going to call him Jim. Jim was homeless. Jim lived on the streets. Jim did not have fancy clothes. Jim smelled. Jim barely got an opportunity to lather, rinse, repeat. He barely had an opportunity to get food. But every morning he made it his mission. He would stand outside the local convenience store, and he would simply say to the people that came in, hi, my name is Jim. What is your name? And people, for the most part, would just walk right by him, not even acknowledging that he existed. Some would be upset at him for being in the doorway. Oh, you smell. You're dirty. Go get a job. But every morning, relentlessly and faithfully, Jim was there. One morning, Bob, he comes in, and he's gone by Jim back and forth, back and forth, back and forth many a times. And this day it's a little cooler. The wind is just a little bit more of a chill in it. And there is Jim. Hi, my name is Jim. What's your name? Bob just kind of walked by him, and he went into the store, and he's getting a cup of coffee, and he said, what the heck, it's 65 cents. I'll get that guy, Jim, or whatever his name is, a cup of coffee. So he gets him the cup of coffee, he goes out, and Jim says, hi, my name is Jim. What's yours? Bob goes, my name is Bob. Here's some coffee. Have a nice day. And he walked away. A couple days later, Bob's walking into the convenience store again, and Jim isn't at the door. In fact, he notices a commotion out by the street. There appears to be a bunch of people and a medic, an ambulance, a police officer, and a small crowd is gathered around something on the ground. And he walks over to it, and he looks down, and it's Jim. At that same time, the paramedic says, there's nothing we can do. He's dead. Does anybody know his name so we can call the next of kin? And Bob goes, his name's Jim, and that's all I know. Okay, well, I guess we'll have to call the county. They'll come in and pick up the body, and we'll take care of it. They said, hey, wait a minute. He's got one possession with him. He's got this box. Since you know his name, you're next of kin. Here you go. So Bob took that shoebox and he opened it up, and there was that stubby pencil. And there was one piece of paper, a small receipt, crumpled up, dirty, and faintly written on it, Jim had written, "Bob is my friend." And that's all he owned. Jim, we decide, isn't worth the time. That doesn't mean all of us. We're telling a collective story here of our culture. Bob said, you know what? Cup of coffee. In that cup of coffee and in that recognition of Jim as a human being, he showed great love. He showed the reflection of the image of God. And it transformed Jim's world. That's what we're called to do. We are called to love God and to love others. Repeat. We are not called to love God and to judge others. Weekly, I come in on 9th Street on my commute from Appleton, and I pass the Quick Trip at the roundabouts. And more I've seen people standing on the corner saying homeless vet or need help with bills or whatnot. And I sit there and think, well, I just read an article on the internet, because the internet's always right, that a lot of these people are making $35,000 to $50,000 a year in panhandling. They don't need my money, they look pretty good. And anyways, they could go get a job. And then I remember, it is not my job to judge or to rate or to decide what this person does. I've been given gifts by God. And it's my job to use those gifts to show people what God is truly about. That is your gift as well. God comes down to us, empowers us, enriches us, blesses us. We may feel it's all on different orders, but in God's eyes, we are all the exact same. I one time I was doing a unit on forgiveness, and so I put up on a PowerPoint slides pictures of people I thought my middle school kids could forgive, saying God forgives everybody. So the first picture that went up there, I said, "Could you forgive this person?" It was a picture of me. And I went, ha 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 ha, yes, I could do that. The next picture that went up there was Jay Cutler. Yeah, I could. Jay Cutler's fine. The next one went up there, I don't remember, but the last slide was this. It was a picture of Osama bin Laden. And I have never seen middle school students together unanimously say, "No! He hurt us. He is mean. He is evil." But yet, we are called to love someone like that. We're talking about love. The Greeks had 4 different kinds of love. The love we're talking about here isn't I love pizza. It's not I love my family or I love my spouse. We're talking about a commitment of love. It's called agape. And agape is basically, think of it this way, it's love that would go to the cross for you. That is the type of love we're talking about when we talk about, hey, I love God. And that's the type of love that God is talking about you. Are you committed to be a follower? Are you committed to make your corner of creation just a little bit better by doing what God has asked you to do, and that is to love people? Be it passing the peace. Be it stopping for a cup of coffee and blessing someone else. Be it going out to a restaurant and picking up somebody else's bill. Reacting to friends who have just gone through a hard time by bringing them a meal. We really do take it for granted, though. American individualism at times is killing the church. I can do it on my own. I can do it. Don't worry. I'm fine. And we cross out God, and we just become us. Brendan Manning, a modern-day theologian, puts it this way in a paraphrase of what he says. What an unbelieving world finds simply unbelieving is that we acknowledge Christ with our lips and we walk out the door and deny him in our lifestyle. I've been blessed to go on a lot of mission trips with kids. I've been blessed to take kids to camp and be directors. I've been blessed to witness something with them that's called the mountaintop experience. And it's when you spend a week with a close-knit community and you just feel God's presence, the same presence that is always with you. But for some reason on these trips, on these gatherings, that presence becomes so much more clear. You're opened up and it can just consume you. As that happens, kids open up. Adults open up. This is one of the reasons I think going to Bible camp as a child, as a teen, as a parent, as a grandparent, as a family is so important. Because you come out of these mountaintop experiences. But the problem is that you come out of the mountaintop experience and it quickly wears off. And so often it becomes, well, I did my godly duty. I served, check mark. I went on a mission trip. I had my God time this year. Take that to the local level. I went to worship this morning. That's good. Give me my check. I was nice to somebody. Give me my check. But what Brendan Manning says is our lifestyle. As a Christian, our lifestyle is no different than that of Christ. Except we can't walk on water and make wine into bread. Or wine into water. Water into wine. There we go. That's why I can't do it, because I can't speak it. To go and live those lifestyles. Currently, on Wednesday nights, the confirmation students are doing what's called film school. And you're all invited to come Wednesday night, 7:15, down in room 105. We're watching a movie called To Save a Life. In it, we meet a character. He's the big jock on campus. Everybody loves him. His name's Jake. We meet his friend, Roger, who, when they were little, Roger actually pushed Jake out of the way of an oncoming car, and he took the hit. Put him in the hospital, had damage to his leg. He now stumbles around. People make fun of him. Now we're in high school. Jake is definitely the king, and he's left Roger behind, and Roger's decided that he is so alone that there's nothing else that he can do. Nobody loves him. Nobody. So he walks into school, he brings a gun, and he shoots himself. This is a wake-up call for Jake. What am I doing with my life? There's this mysterious figure out there that loves me so much, but I know nothing about it, and all I know is I've treated this person here unfairly, and he was a friend. As the movie continues, Jake finds this youth pastor named Chris. Chris is not trying to convert him. He's just simply being there. He's available to Jake. Jake says, there are so many fakers in your church. I know it. I know the ones that smoke pot. I know the ones that drink. I know the ones that are having sex. And they're in your youth group. And they don't care about God. He says, they're all fakers. Chris says, I know they're all fakers. So Jake says, then is this worth it? Is it worth it to give my life to God? Is it worth it to become a Christian? And basically Chris says, yes, it is. But you only get as much as you put in. God will always be there to take you to the next level and to challenge you even further. And will always love you if you come back or if you leave. Well, essentially they go through the movie, and Jake, about halfway through, goes to a youth group meeting. They're reflecting on Roger's death. And he said, Chris, the youth pastor, says to the kids, take 30 seconds to think about what God has done for you. And the kids can't do it for 30 seconds. They start talking, they start fidgeting. Jake gets really upset. He stands up, not quite a Christian, but just checking it out, and says, what are you doing? Can't you listen to what he's saying? And here's another moment. Because Jake then comes out with these words. If what God is doing in your life does not transform you, what is the purpose? What is the purpose if God does not change you? And that means this Sunday, God hopefully has changed you a little bit today, but we need to continue. In our lifestyle, we need to continue to walk the walk. To not see service or opportunities to serve as check marks, but it's because God called us to do this. Even think about this. If you look at the people in here, we all took 1 hour this month to put in service to Jesus. It's 100 plus hours. 1 hour a month. Imagine now if we converted that to daily, or to weekly, then to daily. Lots of us are doing good things. And we need to continue to do it, and we need to encourage others to do it. We need to encourage others to simply buy cups of coffee for people that can't afford them and transform their lives and bring Christ and the kingdom of heaven down to earth so that they may experience the love that they feel no one else can give them. So may this day you experience that love. May you take that love and let it explode like a firework. Transform those around you as you yourself are being transformed. And remember, in the end, God's love is what matters. Love God, love others, repeat. Amen.